Thanks to overwhelming demand, Royal Caribbean says it's adding more cruises from Singapore all the way through to October.
From today, selected MRT stations will feature enhanced screening measures, including metal detectors and X-ray scans.
And what you can expect when attending larger business events with capacity going up to 750 later this month. Welcome to The Big Story, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. I'm Olivia Quay.
I'm Hairianto Diman. You can subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode. As churches welcome back worshippers for Holy Week services, some churches and the police have tightened security for the upcoming Easter weekend.
This in light of a suicide attack on a church in Indonesia last Sunday, as well as two recent foiled terror plots here.
A Ministry of Home Affairs spokesman told ST's political correspondent Justin Ong that the police have already enhanced patrols to places of worship during this Easter period. MHA will also continue to ensure emergency forces can reach any location as quickly as possible, should there be an incident.
Places of worship have also been reminded to review their security measures and contingency plans. For instance, the Catholic Church of Singapore said some parishes will be doing bag checks.
Local authorities and experts said there were no signs that the extremist group behind the Indonesia church attack posed an immediate threat to Singapore, but they stressed the continued importance of community vigilance against a lone wolf actor. Well, look out for the full story at straitstimes.com.
Well, moving on, known for its lush greenery and pristine blue waters, Malaysia's Sabah state is an idyllic escape from the bustling city.
And vacationing there is a possibility, with the state government currently working on an exclusive travel bubble to welcome Singapore tourists after Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
Now, discussions are very much internal at this point. Sabah's State Tourism, Culture and Environment Ministry said that it's awaiting the Cabinet's green light for the plan, and only then will they further negotiations with Malaysia's Tourism Ministry and Singapore.
Back in November, Malaysia Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin admitted that the Sabah state elections in September was the cause of the country's third wave of COVID-19 infections. Thousands of political campaigners, along with cabinet ministers, returned to their home states after the state polls, causing a spike in cases throughout Malaysia.
Well, with overseas leisure travel still not an option, Royal Caribbean will be extending its cruises to nowhere until October after completing more than 30 successful sailings in Singapore. Since the cruise pilot program began last November, more than 120,000 people have gone on these cruises with Royal Caribbean and Genting Cruise Lines, with zero COVID-19 cases on board.
Meanwhile, while industry players in the meetings, incentives, conventions and exhibitions sector welcome the move to increase capacity limits at MICE events, some are concerned about the additional cost, like the need for more manpower to implement safe management measures and signage to keep participants in their respective zones.
Pre-event testing is a must for some events, but organizers believe that the cost will not be a huge hurdle for business attendees, since nominal costs are usually absorbed into operating expenses.
Well, to recap, from April 24th, up to 750 attendees are allowed at larger MICE events, an increase from the current limit of 250 participants. Now, all of them must undergo the pre-event testing, except for local residents who've completed the full COVID-19 vaccination regimen and have had a further 2 weeks from the second dose to develop sufficient protection.
Meanwhile, for smaller events with up to 250 attendees, testing isn't required for all local residents. The cohort size of 50 people per zone will apply for both types of events.
Since the launch of the Singapore Tourism Board's Safe Business Events Framework last July, close to 60 events hosting over 7,000 participants were held here in Singapore, with no COVID-19 cases reported. Let's discuss this further with Aloysius Orlando, President of the Singapore Association for Conventions and Exhibitions, Organizers and Suppliers. So from the 24th, the number of attendees allowed will rise threefold, from 250 to 750. Is that a significant increase to you when it comes to organizing MICE events? Are there many changes that need to be made from the current SOPs?
This step-up approach of increasing capacity from 250 to 750, it's really to ensure that we put in place the rigor of practice for MICE players to adjust to the new normal of safe events, construct and conduct. And what we hope is that the insights and learnings as we go through these enhanced or enlarged capacities will help to support further adjustments of safety protocols so that we can embark on increased capacities in the months ahead with confidence.
Well, Aloysius, permitting more physical attendees could be taxing, especially for smaller event companies with less resources. Do you think it's cost effective for them to up their capacity limit?
I think that as what we have gone through in the pilot events, it gives us the opportunity to size up what are the safe management protocols that have to be in place, and what would the economics of a event in a COVID safe environment look like. And that's why it's important that organizers take full advantage of this calibrated approach to enlarging the capacities to really better size what is the business model moving forward. The jury is still out as to what will define a sustainable and profitable event in a COVID-safe environment. So if we do not try and do not experiment, we will not be any wiser as to how that will turn out to be. Indeed, we will need to bear in mind there will be additional costs because of safe distancing, because of testing, and because of the limited capacity. But we also have to bear in mind that there is also the digital dimension to events. So when we talk about the digital and physical dimensions of events, otherwise known as hybrid events, what will that business model look like? And that's why we hope that as the numbers get recalibrated, we want to see where could the new drivers of revenue be? How can we better optimize the costs of conducting those events?
Aloysius, in the last few months, we've seen efforts to help the MICE industry. For instance, the setting up of Connect at Changi, as well as the continued facilitation of hybrid events. What's been the feedback from your association members so far?
I think this year has been, at least the past year has been certainly unprecedented, and it's challenging for all of us. But I think we remain resolute in our commitment to being a trusted and innovative business partner. And I think that's the hallmark of what the MICE industry here in Singapore has to be, especially in these evolving circumstances. And so we are looking at testing and piloting new innovative solutions that prioritize public health and safety without, of course, compromising on memorable event experiences. And Connect at Changi is one of them. So we have certainly ambitions to continue increasing the quality of our experiences for event attendees and international exhibitors visiting Singapore, assuring them a business-friendly environment, and of course bolstered by a safe and hygiene-first MICE infrastructure.
Well, let's hear your thoughts on, the participants. Some have gotten used to hybrid events already. So what is in it for these participants who will be allowed to physically attend these events from April 24th?
As the capacity increases, we should see more and more curated programs being formed and being developed to bring this about. In the digital space, we also have to bear in mind that as the capacities increase, the travel and border restrictions will also take its time to be relaxed. And the only way that others beyond our shores can participate, and if they can't come physically, is to be engaged digitally. So I think the organizers of events have to bear in mind how do they flex the dimensions of digital and physical so that they can cater to those who are physically present as well as those who are going to be present digitally, such that they can foster that exchange as well as the business partnerships that they are trying to forge.
Well, Aloysius, thank you so much for joining us today. We've been speaking with Aloysius Arlando, President of the Singapore Association for Conventions and Exhibitions, Organisers and Suppliers.
Here's the latest on Singapore's COVID-19 situation. 26 new cases were confirmed today.
They were all imported and put on stay-home notice upon arrival in Singapore. More details will be released later tonight.
Questions on a digital vaccine passport will be debated in Parliament next week, as well as whether other groups like staff and volunteers at congregational worship services should be prioritised for vaccination. Out of the 103 questions filed for oral answer, 16 were related to vaccination.
Well, in other news, a Singapore permanent resident was charged today with allegedly making a false stay-home notice declaration to authorities. The 45-year-old South Korean man had arrived on November 25th last year and is said to have declared that he would be serving his SHN either alone at home or with household members with the same travel history.
But enforcement officers found 3 of his family members didn't share his travel history. Plus, 9 house movers went to his home the day after he arrived in Singapore. His case has been adjourned to April 22nd.
Moving on, foreign worker levies for S-Pass and work permit holders, including those for maids, will be waived from January to September, but only when these workers are serving their stay-home notice. For employers who have already paid levies for January and February, the waivers will be effected as an adjustment and used to offset June's levy.
Separately, from today, train passengers will see stepped-up security screening at some MRT stations. These checks are similar to the ones at airports, including metal detector and X-ray scans, and they'll be conducted at random. The rollout comes after a 6-month trial in 2019.
Former Air Force Colonel Francis Yuan has been appointed Secretary General of the Progress Singapore Party, taking over PSP founder Tan Cheng Bock, who has become the party chairman. Mr. Yuan was Assistant Sec-Gen of PSP and ran as a candidate in Tua Chu Kang GRC during the general election last year. The change comes amid reports of a rift in the party. Last month, an online news site, the Red Wire Times, said that some party cadres have demanded for Dr. Tan to step down and allow for, quote, more talented rising stars to take over. A PSP spokesman said Mr. Yuan's appointment is part of a planned transition.
Time for our Thursday check-ins with our colleagues at Live. Well, Golden Village is currently running a small-scale Leslie Cheung Film Festival.
Now, he was an icon in the Hong Kong film industry and he died on April the 1st, 2003. So GV's film festival is in honor of his 18th death anniversary.
Well, if you're one of our younger viewers, you may not be familiar with the work of this late Hong Kong actor. Well, luckily, journalist Jan Lee is here to share more. Jan, you say the 4 Leslie Cheung movies that are being screened aren't his most notable. But out of them, which is a must-watch for those of us who have not seen his movies before?
So currently, GV is airing The Phantom Lover, The Bride with White Hair, Double Tap, and Who's the Woman, Who's the Man? So these are 4 films that were run over the weekend on April 3rd and 4th. And I think, you know, his most memorable works, people would often bring up things like Farewell My Concubine, or things like Happy Together, A Better Tomorrow, you know, so those are not in the list. But if I had to pick one, you know, I have a soft spot in my heart for The Bride with White Hair, which is a tragic wuxia romance. So it's with Bridget Lin. So younger viewers, if you don't know who Bridget Lin is, she's also a very, very iconic film star. And there's also Yemi Lam, who also sadly passed away a few years ago. So that's like definitely a really stellar cast. And I just love, like, you know, wuxia films. There's something very intrinsically Hong Kong, and it's very peak 90s when you look at the cast, you know. And it is a beautiful story, and the direction is beautiful as well.
Well, Jen, as Leslie Cheung's death anniversary is today, so it's only fitting that we remember him. What makes Leslie Cheung an icon in Hong Kong? Even to this day.
Well, for one, his almost 30-year career, he really starred in many, many films, and also he was just a really, really magnetic on-screen presence. So I caught Happy Together, which is the film he shot with director Wong Kar-wai and opposite Tony Leung. I caught Happy Together in Capitol Theatre a few years ago, and it really left a very deep impression on me. And even starring against Tony Leung, who, people would often say he's one of the best actors in Hong Kong cinema, one of the most alluring actors. You can't take your eyes off him. But even against Tony Leung, Leslie Cheung is completely like, you also cannot take your eyes off him. That's how strong he was. And he's really versatile. He's in so many things. He really changes into a role. When you see him in, let's say, Happy Together, he really does seem like that character. And when you see him in another movie, you almost like forget that he was this other person in this other movie, because he's so good at what he does. And he's also just like, has this, my friends say, just in general, a great screen presence, and he was a very, very good singer. So they are like great canto pop hits from the 90s that you should definitely check out if you've never heard from him. So yeah, I mean, he was really all around just an extremely memorable talent, and it's really sad that we lost him to depression in 2003.
Lovely words there, Jen. Thanks so much for sharing that. That was journalist Jan Lee. Now, the 4 films are showing at the GV outlets at Funan and Tiong Bahru.
This weekend is your last chance to see it in the cinema, but Netflix has others as well, like A Better Tomorrow and Once a Thief.
Now, for an afternoon getaway from the everyday hustle, head to a new French bistro, Maison Marie, which you can find near the Upper Bukit Timah Truss Bridge along the reopened section of the rail corridor. Here's ST Food online editor Heidi Koo with a quick review. So Heidi, what were your first impressions of Maison Marie?
How far it is from where I live. It takes some effort getting there, because if you don't live around there, it's a little bit far out, and if you go during the weekends, which I did because the food was so good, I went back again. If you go on the weekends, parking is a little bit challenging, but I think it's worth the effort getting there. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's just right beside nature, the rail corridor, so it's a really nice, cozy place to go to.
Right. And what are the best dishes there, Heidi?
You've got to really try the grilled Mediterranean sea bream. It's a whole sea bream that is butterflied, and the interesting thing is, we think of fish like, oh, we have to have it the freshest, at its freshest, but at this restaurant, the chef cures the fish with salt for about 3 to 5 days. So the first time I had it, it was cured for 5 days, and then he'll grill it in a charcoal-fired oven, and it's really, really tasty. It comes with a romesco sauce, which is made from tomatoes, bell peppers, but I don't think it's really necessary to use the sauce because it kind of masks the delicate flavor of the fish. It's really so good that you should try it, on its own without any sauces getting in the way, so that you get the pure enjoyment of the fish, of the cured fish. And another dish to try, well, everybody loves oysters. They serve out three types of oysters at the restaurant, but I really fell in love with the mid-price one. It's about $6.50 for each of the La Royale, and it's very creamy, very sweet. And if you go there, just as I did on the day that the oysters arrived the night before, so it's super fresh, super fresh tasting. I really, really liked it. Another dish to try is the roasted tiger prawns, and it comes with parsley and garlic oil. So this mixture is made in-house by the chef, and it sounds like a very cliched kind of dish, but I think they do a really good version over here, and it's not overly garlicky as, sometimes some restaurants make such a dish, overkill of garlic. Here, no, very well balanced flavors. You can taste the parsley, it's very fresh. The prawns are perfectly cooked, so it's not overcooked, not too hard, not too tough. So if you order this dish, you really have to get the charcoal baked bread that's made in-house, and yeah, excellent for mopping up the parsley and oil mixture, the olive oil mixture. And lastly, for dessert, you could have the pari breast that is also made in-house by the chef himself. It's made from choux pastry and has a hazelnut mousseline as the filling. It tastes like something someone's grandma would make. So very interesting, homey, unpretentious, hearty fare that you can get at this restaurant.
Thanks, Hedy. That was ST Food online editor Hedy Koo. Do drop by Maison Marie at the Rail Mall the next time you want some European and Mediterranean fare or to just get away from Singapore's concrete jungle.
Speaking of, something you can also try this weekend is forest bathing.
Well, forest bathing is a decades-old Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, where people spend time immersing themselves in the atmosphere of the forest. Our colleague journalist To Wen Lee tried it recently at Dairy Farm Nature Park. Wen Lee, how is the idea or concept of forest bathing different from, say, a regular hike? What did you experience that maybe you wouldn't have in a regular walk through nature?
Yeah, so the thing about forest bathing is, contrary to what it sounds like, it doesn't involve a person showering in the forest. And it's all about, yeah, as you mentioned, immersing yourself in the atmosphere of nature and of the forest. So it's about being present in the moment, there's a sense of mindfulness to it. So it's not so much about the destination or about learning about specifically about the biodiversity of the place, as it is about just anchoring yourself in the present and being aware of the sensations around you. So in other words, paying attention to the sights, sounds, smells, textures, and tastes of the forest. So you can do this on your own, I think, but there are also some certified forest therapy guides in Singapore who kind of offer a more structured approach to it. So what they'll do is they'll take you on this experience in a park, for example, and offer what they call invitations. So they invite you to pay attention to certain stimuli in the environment, and after that you kind of get together and share your reflections with other participants. So it's just a very more structured way of being aware of your natural surroundings.
I see. Well, Wen Lee, about this forest therapy guide, your trip was with one. So I'm just wondering, how did this come about as a job in Singapore, and what makes somebody qualified to be a forest therapy guide?
Yeah, so the two guides I spoke to, one of whom was Yeomin Yap, who runs Seo Nature Connections. The other one was Ding Kian Singh, who does forest bathing as well, but he sometimes combines these with a water element. So you might be on a kayak or a paddleboard and forest bathe at the same time. So the two of them are both certified with this US-based association called the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides and Programs. So they receive some training followed by a practicum lasting for a couple of months. So that's the training they receive from this association, international body.
Oh, sounds interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that, Wen Lee. That was journalist To Wen Lee.
Well, there are more suggestions featured in tomorrow's live section, and for more news and videos, you can, of course, visit straitstimes.com.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. I'm Dylan Ang.
I'm Chow Suen. Happy April Fools, everybody.